Today I'm reviewing the Fenty Beauty Hydra Vizor Moisturizer with SPF. And really quick, I just want to say I purchase these products with my own money. I'll never waste your time with sponsored ads or videos, so if you want to help support the channel, check out nobsbeauty.com, join my Patreon community, or click on the links below. This has a long name, and I forgot half. It's the Fenty Beauty Skin Hydra Vizor Invisible Moisturizer Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Sunscreen. That is too long of a name for me to memorize. Okay. So anyway, so a lot of people asked me to review this one, and this one I've been testing since it kind of came out. I purchased a travel size, which is nice because it's almost gone now, so I can empty it, which is nice. It's interesting, so when you finish like a beauty product or like an eyeshadow palette, they call it panning it. You panned it. It's empty. It's down to the pan. And when you finish a skincare product, I guess it's kind of panning it. And then if you finish a skincare product you hate, it's called a hate pan. I hate pan this. I hated this product, but I finished it. There we go. I've done that with a lot of stuff because I just don't want to waste it. And sometimes it was expensive, and I don't want to hand it down, and I'm just going to finish it myself, even though I didn't like it because I feel like I wasted too much money. I'm going to finish it. So, okay. What's nice is this, in the full size, is refillable. So it's a refillable two-in-one sunscreen moisturizer. It's lightweight, oil-free, non-comedogenic, and invisible. It targets dark spots and is makeup-friendly. I agree with most of those things, except for the comedogenic part, but we'll talk about that more later. Okay, my first criteria is packaging, and I love that the full size is refillable. It's great. So if you find one that really works, I really don't repurchase many products. There's a few products I've repurchased hundreds of, well, not hundreds, dozens of times, which is great. And if you find this and it works for you, you just refill it. It's great. Less waste. In terms of drying types of alcohol, this does not contain any of those. In terms of fragrance, so this does have a noticeable scent. They call it melon, a melon scent to it. I don't like the scent at all. I don't like a lot of scents, so it takes a long time to dissipate, I noticed, so I'm not a fan of the scent of it. If it didn't have that scent to it, it's probably something I would find myself repurchasing. But it contains fragrance in and of itself, benzoyl salicylate, citrullus, which is not a great fragrance ingredient, it's very irritating, hexylcinnamol, limonene, and linalool. So we've got quite a few fragrance ingredients, but if you don't have sensitive skin and you don't mind fragrance, I'm jealous. In terms of the manufacturing location for this one is made in the US. In terms of SPF, this one is SPF 30, which is, in my opinion, the lowest I'd recommend for daily use. It's interesting, in some countries, moisturizers with SPF are regulated a little bit differently than actual, like, sunscreens. Because when people apply a face moisturizer, they don't apply it liberally enough, so you don't really get the SPF. So there's a lot more strict rules relating to that. So keep that in mind when you use a moisturizer sunscreen combo, because you need to apply it liberally, and a lot of people just don't do that. So okay, in terms of the UVA protection factor, it's labeled as broad spectrum. That is like, it's not hard, in my opinion, to get a sunscreen labeled broad spectrum in the US. A lot of another brand's testing has come out, and it showed that their UVA protection was 9, and it's still labeled broad spectrum. 9 isn't great. 20 is probably ideal, especially if you're going to be outside a lot. And some sunscreens like La Roche-Posay, Bioderma have UVA protection factors in the 40s and 50s. So I'm not really impressed with the broad spectrum label. I like that some other brands will go out of their way and label it with a PA with pluses after it to kind of indicate it might be a little bit better, but there's really no indication with this one whether it's amazing or not. So it's not really the brand's fault. They're manufactured in the US, and the US has terrible sunscreen regulations. And we haven't approved any new filters in a long frickin' time, and probably never will in my lifetime. Okay. Even though 10,000 people a day are diagnosed with skin cancer. Okay. In terms of the filters used for this one, so we've got UVA filter, 3% Avobenzone. It's a very unique filter. I'm not exactly a huge fan of it in and of itself. It's not very stable. You need to use other filters with it for it to work okay. But in the US, it's really the only UVA filter for organic or chemical sunscreens. Then we've got for UVB rays, 9% Homosalate, which is an oil-soluble chemical sunscreen agent that is a UVB protector. And it does help stabilize Avobenzone. In terms of UVB protection, we've got 4.5% Octisalate, which is a UVB ray absorber. So there we go. Nothing super exciting, but they can't do anything exciting because they're in the US. So there we go. In terms of white cast, so let me do a little demo. There's a little bit left in here. There we go. I think that might be the end of the little bottle, which is 1 ounce. I don't know, that bottle's not that, it looks tiny, but it's 1 ounce. For a sample size, it's awesome. So, okay. So in terms of the white cast, this is clear. I mean, it has a little bit of pink tint to it, but once you smooth it into skin, it is pretty transparent. So, very exciting. Applies very clearly. In terms of the texture of it, it's got a lotion texture. It sets to kind of a slightly radiant finish, which is okay for a lot of people. And it's non-sticky once it sets. It does work very nicely under makeup and feels moderately hydrating on skin. So I really like the texture of it. In terms of ease of use, very easy to use. I would give it, after you apply it, at least 1 to 2 minutes to absorb before you apply your next layer. If you can give it a little bit longer, that's ideal. Typically, I apply my sunscreen. Then that's when I do my hair. And that usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And then by the time I'm done with that, I apply my foundation and my sunscreen is fully absorbed. So it works really well for me. Although if you don't have any hair or short hair, then go do something else for a few minutes. It's just, sunscreens work a little bit easier that way. But it can pill over some moisturizer. I didn't find it all the time, but I found it with a hyaluronic moisturizer that I used. It pilled over, but other than that, I didn't have any other pilling issues. And if you find that the finish is a little bit shiny, you can use a little bit of powder, and it is fine. My skin is pretty dry, though, so keep that in mind. So if you have oilier skin, it might be a little bit emollient and shiny. Use a little bit of powder, and it works. Okay, in terms of antioxidants and beneficial ingredients for this one, so we've got Safflower, Oleosomes, which is an emollient ingredient. We've got Niacinamide, skin brightening ingredient, anti-acne, barrier repairing. Hyaluronic acid, great, humectant. It's got to be in everything. Then we've got sodium hyaluronate. If that wasn't enough, another humectant. We've got watermelon seed extract, which is a hydrating ingredient. We've got boab pulp extract, which is another hydrating ingredient. We've got buchu leaf extract, which is actually a mattifying ingredient. Aloe juice, hydrating ingredient. Vitamin E, antioxidant, hydrating. Glucolactone, which is an exfoliant, and actually not used as an exfoliant in this product. It's actually used as a chelating ingredient. So, okay, in terms of acneogenic ingredients, doesn't have a long list, but I do find hyaluronic acid ingredients to be slightly suffocating for pores, so keep that in mind. Not everyone has that same experience, but some do. Other than that, we've got sorbitol olate, vitamin E, dimethicone, and then this red number 33, which appears in more sunscreens than I ever thought it would. I guess red works well. I don't know. In terms of animal testing, this is gluten-free, cruelty-free, and vegan. In terms of performance, this one works pretty good, although I will say it made my eyes and nose water a bit. I'm not exactly sure if it was the sunscreen filters in this or the fragrance. It did make Lincoln sneeze. I have a note in there because he generally loves fragrance, and Lincoln sneezed. So he gave it 1 lick. Or no, he gave it no licks. He gave it a sneeze. So I don't know. Towards the end of the day, it did look a bit greasy, but my skin's pretty dry, so perhaps oilier skin types might have more of an issue with that. I will say it doesn't seem to be super sweat proof because I did go for a little bit walk. I did go for a short walk the other day using this and sweat a little bit, and my top of my forehead got a little red, so probably not something to use other than a day-to-day sunscreen. Not if you're going to be outside a lot, sweating, swimming, things like that. I would pick something different. Reapplication of this one was pretty easy, though, so other than looking a little greasy, it was easy to apply over whatever I was already using. In terms of the price, so this is the sample size. The full size is a little bit larger than this. It's 1.7 ounces, 50 milliliters, and it retails for $35. That makes it a little pricey, especially if you try and remember to apply it liberally. So with a 15 being a perfect score, I gave this one 11. It's nice. If they took the fragrance out, it'd be so much better. Just tone the fragrance down at least. Maybe just took out the citral, it'd be much better. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm interested in hearing from you guys if you've had a chance to check this one out yet or not. And if you have, what your thoughts are. So definitely leave a comment. I love hearing from you. And stay tuned for more tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys.